The day I was fired for the CEO's fiancée, I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just asked one question. Is this decision final? Daniel Hayes didn't hesitate. Yes. He didn't even look uncomfortable saying it. After 7 years of building his airline, 7 years of sleeping inside airports during launch phases, 7 years of negotiating aircraft leases at 2 a.m., and I was being removed because his fiancée felt undermined. Let me explain. I was Chief Operations Officer at Alteris Air. When I joined, we had 4 aircraft and unstable cash flow. When I left, we had 38 aircraft and international routes. I built our safety compliance system. I negotiated our fuel hedging contracts. I personally structured our maintenance partnerships. In aviation, operations isn't glamorous, but it's everything. One mechanical oversight can destroy a company. One regulatory violation can ground an entire fleet. Daniel was the face. Media loved him. Charismatic, confident, investor favorite. Then he got engaged to Sophia. Influencer, luxury lifestyle brand. No aviation background, no corporate experience. But suddenly she started attending strategy meetings, then safety briefings, then operational reviews. At first I stayed quiet. Then she began suggesting cost cuts. Do we really need overnight backup crews? Why are we overinvesting in compliance audits? Because federal aviation law doesn't care about aesthetics. But she didn't understand that. One meeting changed everything. We were reviewing winter weather contingency plans. I explained why de-icing redundancy was non-negotiable. Sophia laughed softly. That's excessive. Other airlines operate leaner. I responded calmly. Other airlines also face FAA penalties. Daniel shifted in his chair. Sophia smiled at him. I feel like I'm being dismissed. The room went silent. Daniel cleared his throat. We should maintain respect in meetings. Respect. Interesting word. 3 weeks later, HR called me. Cultural misalignment. That's what they labeled it. No misconduct. No performance issue. Just leadership restructuring. Translation? Sophia felt uncomfortable, and Daniel chose comfort over competence. I signed the exit documents calmly. But before leaving, I did one thing. I requested written confirmation that my removal was not related to performance or compliance failure. They gave it to me. Arrogance makes people careless. 2 months passed. Alteris Air continued operating, posting behind-the-scenes content from her airline. Private jet tours, cockpit selfies, luxury cabin redesigns. Investors seemed impressed until winter hit. Here's what they didn't know. Alteris Air's operational clearance for expanded European routes depended on a conditional safety certification. A certification I personally negotiated. It required strict adherence to enhanced maintenance oversight and reserve crew availability. The compliance structure wasn't just policy. It was tied to my professional sign-off as designated operations executive. When I was removed, that designation legally lapsed. They didn't update it. They didn't refile it. They assumed the paperwork would handle itself. It doesn't. Regulators don't care about internal drama. They care about documented authority. I waited, not because I wanted disaster, but because I knew aviation law doesn't forgive oversight. 3 months after my exit, I received a quiet call from a regulatory contact I knew well. Did you resign from Alteris? Yes. They haven't updated operational designation. I stayed calm. That's concerning. A pause. We're initiating a review. I didn't report them. I didn't file complaints. I simply answered truthfully when asked. Regulators began a routine audit. Routine audits in aviation are never small. They review safety logs, maintenance schedules, crew training certifications, operational authority documentation, and that's when the crack appeared. The European route authorization required a certified operations executive signatory. My name was still listed, but I was no longer employed, which meant the authorization was invalid. Legally invalid. Certification? Non-compliant. Regulators don't negotiate with paperwork errors. They ground fleets. Temporarily, but publicly. The announcement hit like a storm. Alteris Air European operations suspended pending compliance review. Stock dropped 22% in 2 days. Media exploded. Daniel looked pale in his emergency press conference. Sophia deleted her recent cockpit selfies. Investors demanded answers. That's when Daniel called me. The first time since firing me. His voice wasn't confident anymore. What did you do? I resigned, I replied calmly. You knew this would happen. I knew compliance matters. You could have warned us. I paused. You confirmed in writing my removal wasn't performance-related. Silence. You removed the responsible executive without updating regulatory filings. More silence. Sharply. We need you to temporarily assist in reinstatement. There it was. Not apology. Need. But here's the twist. 2 weeks before the grounding announcement, I had accepted a position, not at another airline, at an aviation regulatory advisory board, private sector liaison role, meaning I now advised on compliance frameworks industry-wide, including airline oversight modernization. I wasn't allowed to intervene directly in Alteris's review. Conflict of interest. And I didn't need to. Because the issue wasn't sabotage, it was negligence. Grounding lasted 3 weeks. 3 expensive weeks. Refunds, compensation claims, investor panic. Sophia stayed silent on mine. Daniel looked exhausted. Eventually, Alteris updated documentation properly, hired a new compliance head, rebuilt oversight systems. Resumed. Stock slowly stabilized. Then came the real twist. During the audit, regulators discovered something deeper. Cost-cutting measures introduced after my departure had reduced maintenance buffer thresholds below recommended margins. Not illegal, but dangerously close. Had winter storms intensified slightly more, they would have faced real safety risk. The grounding didn't just hurt revenue. It may have prevented something worse. Months later at an aviation conference, I saw Daniel again. No media around, no investors, just industry professionals. He approached me quietly. You won, he said. I shook my head. This wasn't a competition. He gave a tired smile. It felt like one. You fired your operations shield, I said calmly. Aviation doesn't forgive ego. He looked away. Sophia wasn't with him. Surfaced. Board pressure. Leadership tension. Engagement quietly ended. Alteris Air survived, but not unchanged. Investors restructured governance. Independent compliance oversight added. Influencer access to internal meetings restricted. Publicly, the grounding was labeled a documentation oversight. Privately, it was a lesson. You can redesign cabins. You can improve branding. You can attract attention. But you cannot ignore safety architecture. The day Daniel fired me for his fiancée, he thought he was protecting harmony. Instead, he removed the firewall. I didn't ground his airline. Regulations did. Paperwork did. Arrogance did. All I did was leave. And sometimes, when the wrong person is removed from the control tower, the entire fleet pauses. Corporate checkmate isn't loud. It's precise. Expertise. And aviation always sides with expertise.